Here we have an investment problem where $1,200 is invested partly at 7% and part of it invested at 12%, and a total of $124 of interest was earned. So how much was invested at each rate? So again, the first thing we want to do is establish what are the variables. So I'm going to make my let statement. So I'm going to let x equal, well, how much at each rate. Okay, so I'm going to say x is the dollar value because it's how much, and it's the amount invested at 7%. Y is going to be the dollar value at 12%. Okay, and if we kind of just analyze this problem a little bit, that's our principal amount. It's called the principal, how much is going to earn the interest. And this represents the interest part of it. So there's principal and interest values. And we can see that we earned about 10%, a little bit more than 10%. And the way I figure that out is I can just divide this by that, and I get about 10% interest. So I have maybe a little bit more invested at 12%. That's what I should expect. So I need to come up with my relationships. I need to come up with two relationships here because I have my two variables. And one relationship is going to be related to the total amount of money. So the total amount of money is going to be based on the amount at 7% and the amount at 12%. So if I add the amount at 7% plus the amount at 12%, that's going to give me the total amount of money I started with, or my principal. So there's one relationship. The other relationship comes from the amount of interest that's earned. Okay, so how do I calculate the amount of interest? So if I take the amount of money at 7% and I multiply it by 7%, that's the amount of interest earned at 7%. And I want to find out the amount of interest earned at 12%. So I'm going to take the amount of money at 12%, which is y, and I'm going to multiply it by my percentage, 12%. And when I add up the two interest amounts, because this is the amount of interest here, so when I add up the two interest amounts, I've been told that that interest adds up to $124. So I have principal plus principal equals the $1,200 principal. I have interest plus interest equals $124 of interest. So my equations are consistent. Okay, so then I just need to solve. So I'm going to use substitution here. So I'm just going to solve for y. So I end up with the amount invested at 12% is going to be the whole money, take away the amount I used to invest at 7%. And I'm going to substitute that into my other equation. And a reminder that you cannot substitute back into the same equation. So I'm going to substitute in equation 2. So I'm going to have 0.07x plus 0.12y, and instead of using y, I'm going to replace the y with an equivalent 1200 minus x. And now I have an equation that we've eliminated that variable y. So I have one variable in this equation, so this makes it much easier to solve. So if I multiply this out, I'm going to end up with 0.07 plus 12% at 1200. I think it's going to be 144. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. And minus 0.12x equals $124. So when I combine my like terms, I get negative 0.05x. I'm going to subtract 144 from both sides. I end up with negative 20. And dividing that by 20 divided by negative 0.5, that's going to be, looks like it's going to be positive $400. Okay, I think that's correct. So that is the amount of money invested at, looks like 7%. That was my x value. So then solving for my y, which is the amount that I invested at 12%, is going to be the remainder, which is $800. So I take away $400, okay, which I calculated here, and then the amount invested at 12% works out to be $800. Okay, so there it is. So if I double check this, it's going to be 12% times $800 gives me $96. 7% at $400 is going to be $28. So 96 plus 28 gives me my $124 of interest. So that looks like it works out. So this is an investment problem, and the parts of investment are my principal, the total amount that's earning interest, and then the interest part. So those two are, although they're dollar values, this is dollar value in principal, and this is a dollar value in interest.